I have said on occasion that the only music I listen to are the CDs by Joyce Rouse, and that's true. So today's reading is not a song, but I want to read the words from one of her Christmas carols, which I must say is one of the ones that has haunts me and stays with me this Christmas season. Now, where did it go? There he is. So the chorus to her, she has a song called The Angel Tree. And the chorus is what runs through my head consistently this time of year. Just in time for Christmas, I saw past the tinsel and the words peace on earth saying something new to me. The spirit of the season is in the joy of giving, and a little love grew in my heart through the angel tree. The song is worth listening to, but you don't want to hear me sing it. And then from my favorite friend, Thomas. Indeed, the unity of the universe can be observed in the vast array of rituals carried out by diverse indigenous peoples around the planet, as well as by the agricultural and literate societies, especially in their founding stages. The human cultural project, in all its phases, is authenticated by the ritual insertion into the great seasonal sequence whereby the earth is constantly renewed. Thus, a calendar of events is established, and cosmic rituals are performed at their appropriate times.
Talking about the greatest gift, one of our greatest gifts, is this woman right here. I would really like you to all stand up and give her those rousing applause.
And that's an original piece of music.
I know it. This is original music we're hearing, guys.
Yeah, Betsy, that was another original piece, right?
Yes.
Yay. So this sermon has two introductions. One I wrote the day that I wrote the sermon about a week ago, and one I did Friday night. So I'll do the Friday night one first. So I came downtown on Friday night. How many of you were down here Friday night? Wow, there was a wad of people, like maybe more than I've seen in downtown. And I would like to think they all came down to hear Rita sing, but there's some ontological phenomenon that drew people to get together on Friday night downtown. It can't have been PR. It might have been Rita, but I doubt it. There was an ontological urge to come downtown on Friday night. That's the only explanation.
The weather was so good.
Well, everything conspired, right? But it wasn't just the weather, and it wasn't just the this or just the that. It was an ontological urge. The second introduction, this is the hardest month of the year for me, because it's the month that my personal opinions and self-story is least in harmony with the stories that surround me. And I feel the ontological urge that everybody else has, but when I say why, because of Jingle Bells? No, I'm sorry. So that's what I want to, that's the disjuncture that I want to focus on today. And is what's that disjuncture that's there? And how do people like you and I move through that and help the world move through it? That'll be our greatest gift. So the problem is, it doesn't take a lot to prove that the common messages on TV and everywhere else just ring hollow to me. I mean, I am not going to give Elaine a Mercedes-Benz, a white Mercedes with a red ribbon on it. That's not happening. And I don't, A, I don't want to, and B, I can't. So I'm caught. There was an article in the News and Record a couple of weeks ago about how to handle stress during the holidays. I thought, gee, it was about when I was writing this. And I thought, geez, I'll read that. They'll probably... Well, that whole paper was on what kind of sedatives and nerve medicine to take that would lower your stress level the best. I'm like, no, that can't be the answer. And figuring out a fancier way to tell the Jesus story also won't help us. I mean, figuring out how to make a better dressed wise man carrying gold, frankincense, and myrrh, you can work on that. On Friday night, we walked past Triad Stage, and the guy was there, and he seemed to know that I was a season pass holder, which I am, but I don't know how he knew that. But anyway, he wanted me to come see Beautiful Star, and I decided to duck on that. But it's a great play, but it's the wrong story. And I've worked for the last 7 years to try to create what's the story that we need to tell this time of year. So a fancier, glitzier story, it won't help. And we have to find ways to, as Joyce said in her song, how do we see through the tinsel? How do we see through all the glitz and glamour to a way to recover what is an ontological power of this time of the year? So I have 3 kinds of things that I want to talk about. One, we need to work on a fresh story that tells what's really real. Second, we need to figure out how, within ourselves, to, I wrote here, embody transparent effulgence. That's a good set of words. How do we let ourselves embody what the planet is going through at the dark time of the year, in the dark of the night, when the new is not yet here, but it doesn't stop. And I'll come back and want to push on that. And then, how do you and I enable people, ourselves and others, to understand that every one of us are participating in the great unfolding? And that's what Christmas gifts should be about. Because that's what's the deepest truth. The deepest truth is that each one of us are being called upon to participate in the great unfolding of the planet. And how, at Christmas time, during this holiday season, do we find a way to say to each other and to ourselves, hey, you are being called to participate in the great unfolding of the planet. And if we can make gifts that do that, then we succeed. Now, come back over that. There's what's really happening this time of year. There's two great things that are happening. Practically, the year is coming to an end. This is a global phenomenon. It's actually quite amazing that virtually everybody has agreed December 31st is the year end. Now there's Chinese New Year, Muslim New Year, Hindu New Year. Everybody else has their own New Years, but we all agree that we're going to call this the end of the year, December 31st. And it's in the northern hemisphere. It's where the darkest night is coming up. So there's two things. Physically, in the northern hemisphere, this is going to be the shortest day of the year is coming up. And there's nothing you and I can do about that. And it's getting colder. And there's nothing you and I can do about that. And as a planet, we've decided that the year is going to end. And we're going to start a new year. And so at this time, the great cycle, this we become aware that in the fact that the universe has a long and ongoing history that is never repeating, there is also the cycles. And we're coming up at the end of the great cycle. So there's three things that we can count on and that we need to find ways to build into our story. One, cycles are real and pervasive. Two, times of darkness, real darkness, do often precede new beginnings. Darkness is real. And in the darkness, you cannot see into the future. And third, everybody participates in opening the door to tomorrow. So those three things are real, and those need to be part of our story. And you can tell those things in a number of poetic kinds of ways. So cycles are real. I think we as a culture have done a great job in putting together three rhythms, three great celebrations coming up at the end of the year. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and the holiday season, or Christmas and New Year's, but I'm using the word the holiday season. But Halloween is an important holiday to face death and to say death is real, and I am not going to let death overcome me. And that's an important thing. And we've gone through Halloween. Thanksgiving is important too, because it's important to stop for a while and say, this is what I got, And I'm thankful for it just as it is. Now, we're at a different time. This holiday season is a time when we stop to say, possibility, a new year, is coming. And I do not know what it holds. And that's the importance of darkness. Darkness, you can't see. You don't know where the path is going when it's dark. You can think you know, and you can think you know what's down the path, but you do not. And a real part of understanding how life works is to know that the future is not known. Now you can bet, you can plan, you can project, all those things, but you do not know. And that's the important thing of standing in the darkness. And that's the way it works. There's a song in Guys and Dolls. Have you ever seen Guys and Dolls? Do you know the song? My time of day is the dark time. A couple of deals before dawn, when the street belongs to the cops and the janitor with the mops. It goes on. That's a great song. I sing that a lot of mornings when I get up. My time of day is the dark time, because you don't know. And let's fess up, gang. You don't know. Even Clemson, who's pretty smart, he doesn't know. Now, the second corollary to that, however, darkness, which is real, does not overwhelm. You can move through the darkness. And that's a decision you have to make. Now, you can sit forever in darkness, but the universe doesn't sit forever in darkness, and you don't have to either. But you got to decide. And we've got to help each other decide. There's an important role to helping another person decide. I can't make your decision for you, but I can help. And let's practice. Let's think about. Practice. Think about. Rehearse. Try to understand. How do we help another person decide? We don't tell them what to do, but we can, and this is where I want to focus on. So now what can we do? This is where I want to embody transparent effulgence. How do you and I embody the fact that living in darkness is real and I'm moving through it? Well, it's a double-sided thing. Practically, put lights around on things. This is an interesting phenomenon of putting lights around things. You know, you say, well, the doorway is significant. It should have lights. The tree. And we'll put up Christmas lights around the bookshelf. Whatever. Put up lights. Now, you will not overcome the darkness with lights. But you'll say, this is significant, this is significant, this is significant, this is significant, this is significant. All is significant, and darkness itself is okay too, and I can live in the darkness. Learn to affirm what you got. That's a part of living in the darkness, is to say, this is what I've got, and it's with this that I'm moving forward, not with something else. And have parties. This is a great time of year for having parties. And it's important. That's why Friday night succeeded. It was the city decided to have a party. We can all have parties. This is, going through this time of darkness, is not a time for having a strategic planning session. This is not, you don't know what's going to happen. So just enjoy the fact you don't know. Okay? We don't know what's going to happen next year. We don't. Now, the church can have a business meeting. My family's got a business meeting. We've had that. I've got a rough budget for next year. I've got some plans. But this is not the time of year for having a strategic planning session. I don't care what your budget is. It's good we got the budget balanced. That's done with now. Now we have a party. We don't know for certain that's enough. What if so-and-so doesn't pay their pledge? All that stuff. All real. We're having a party. This is the end of the year. Draw the line. You got what you got. And tomorrow you don't know about. You really don't know. But we're going to celebrate. And this is a time I'm working hard to try to figure out how do we make this for everybody. Because this is not a white male thing. This is not a Christian thing. This is a universal human and planetary phenomenon. Oh, that's why I'm big on saying happy holidays. Happy holiday. I can say that to my Hindu friends. They're having a holiday. They're coming in. They understand the holiday season too. They really emphasize New Year's more. But let's admit, as a planet, we're having a holiday. We're coming through the darkness. It's an interesting problem trying to live through Christmas in Australia, where it's hot in summer. Well, we haven't completely solved the hemisphere, but they try. And part of what we need to do also is like music and all this stuff. People, the ones of you that know about music, you need to work on. I mean, singing Jingle Bells. I mean, how many of you really want to go for a ride in a one-horse open sleigh? Okay, well, okay, good. Well, yeah, but we're not. That's not going to happen in Greensboro. Yeah, right. That's. But it's not going to happen here. Probably, maybe. Anyway. So, but we just don't have good. The music is just terrible. I mean, the quality of the singing is fine, but the words don't help us on our journey. And the task of the religious community in the 21st century is to figure out how to make the message empower the ontological feeling. And that's not happening. So people don't know what to do. They feel this, but they don't know what to do. So, what can you do? Well, this is so the big question for me, and I think this is why I have a problem in that I write these sermon topics a year in advance, and then when it comes time to give them, I say, "Whoa, how am I going to do that?" So this gift question, so how do we create new understandings of gift that says to somebody, this will help you on your journey? And what really will help a person on their journey? So this changes the context of gift giving. How do we think? And then who do you give gifts to, and what kind? And this is a hard question. I mean, when I was a kid, geez, Christmas was like, you couldn't, there were so many Christmas presents around the tree that you couldn't get near the tree. That was just mind-boggling. But Dad wanted to show that he cared for us, and he wanted to give us everything we could think of wanting. But I'm not sure that's a helpful, and it's not helpful to me right now. And so the question on gift giving, I think, has to be, how do we practice learning to understand And how do we practice receiving so that we receive in a way that says, oh, I see, you're helping me on my journey. And it's not easy task. So, but I am practicing that. And so I made a present for this congregation. We talked about, and Rita sort of stole my thunder, but so my gift is a brochure that lays out the sermons for next year. And that has to be, it looks real nice, but it has to be understood as a draft, and it needs subject to revision and change. But it's a good start. And I think that if this congregation knew what the sermons were going to be for the next year, that would be, so that's my gift to you. And and the last one is, in this process of figuring out gifts, then how do we learn to connect the scope of gift and who are we giving gifts to? I mean, I don't have to give gifts. I don't have to give something to everybody. I mean, but this thing you're doing next Sunday, Saturday, and the two Mankoffs giving gift of food and books. Well, let's help that. And I know that you don't know the people that are coming, and you don't know all the people, but how do you symbolically do some gift giving that is to the unknown, to the you don't know the people really? That's an important. And then the people you love and the people you're close to. And how do we rethink this? And I want to encourage us to work on thinking that through in the context of how do we help people on their journey into the future. And it's a two-pronged thing. One, in our own personal life, we have to embody that style. And practically, we have to do something. And as I said, my slogan is to say Happy Holidays. And how do we say and embody Happy Holidays? And that's what I look forward to. I say to you all, Happy Holidays, and let Happy Holidays flow through each of us and through this congregation. So, Happy Holidays.
Happy holidays to you.